Okay, simplify the rational expression and state any restrictions. So restrictions is when you don't want to have a 0 in the denominator. So what you're going to do over and over again is you're going to factor. So I'm going to factor out an x on the top. And then this is actually difference of squares. So this is going to be x plus 5 and x minus 5. So I can simplify by canceling out these common factors. So my answer is x over x plus 5. Now I want to look at restrictions. So you need to look at restrictions in the beginning of the problem and any other time during the problem. So you never want to divide by 0 at any point in your problem. So I'm going to set this part equal to 0. So this means that x can't be equal to negative 5 and x can't be equal to 5. And then number 2, 2 is already factored. So you're taking the product of these two rational expressions, but really it's just one big expression together. So I'm going to cancel out factors. And it's got to be 1-to-1 factor. I can't cancel out just because there's x plus 3. I can't cancel out this one too. It has to be 1-to-1. So I'm left with just x plus 3. That's my answer simplified. Now my restrictions are set this equal to 0, set this equal to 0, set this equal to 0. So the restrictions are x can't be -1, -3, and -4 because at no time can I divide by 0 in my problem. And then, excuse me, number 3, you're dividing these two rational expressions. So when you divide, you want to flip this over, the reciprocal, and multiply. So this is going to be 3 over x times x squared over 7. So x squared divided by x will just turn into an x. And then 3/7 doesn't reduce, so the answer is 3x over 7. I find it better in the long run if you're able to cancel out factors instead of just multiplying and then reducing. I think you should try to cancel out factors within. So number 4 is, see, I would cancel this off the bat. X squared divided by x is just going to give you x. So now you have 4xy cubed over 15 times, I would switch this over to be 5x squared over 24y squared. Oops, 24y to the 4th. Excuse me. So what I mean is, instead of multiplying 4 times 5 and getting 20, and then multiplying 15 times 24 and whatever that is, and then reducing, I would look for common factors right now. So you have a 5 and a 15. Well, 5/15 reduces to 1/3. And then 4/24 reduces to 1/6. And then I have y to the 4th and y to the 3rd, and that is just going to be a y on the bottom. So in the end, you're going to have x times x squared, and that's going to give you x cubed over 3 times 6 times y. 3 times 6 times y is 18y. So there's your answer. So my restrictions are, oops, I didn't do the restrictions. Let's go back. I didn't do the restrictions for this one. So in the initial problem, you look at your denominator, and you have x and x squared. So you could not have x be equal to 0. And then make sure you check when you do the reciprocal if you have anything else in the denominator you can set equal to 0. I'm not going to set 7 equal to 0 because 7 is not equal to 0. So the restrictions are x can't be equal to 0. And then number 4, in the beginning you had x's in the denominator. So these are monomials. So this x can't be equal to 0. But you also, in the problem, had a y in the denominator with the monomial. So also the restriction is y can't be 0. Okay, number 5. So I have 3x cubed. I'm going to already factor this to be x plus 5, x minus 5. I'm not going to switch it because this is multiplication, but I'm going to factor this and put it all in the same line, x plus 5, x plus 1, and then I have x squared. So I can cancel out these two common factors, and then you have x cubed and x squared. That's just going to be an x on the top. So your answer is 3x times x plus 1 over x plus 5. Or you could expand this and write it as 3x squared plus 3x over x minus 5. So now I'm going to look for my restriction. So look in the beginning of the problem, and you never actually flip, so you're just looking at set x plus 5 equal to 0, x minus 5 equal to 0, and x squared equal to 0. Don't forget about this x squared. So that means that x can't be 5, negative 5, and 0. Okay, number 6. Excuse me. So number 6, you have 6x plus 7 over 7. You're dividing, so you change it to multiply. And then you're going to switch x minus 2 on the top. And I'm going to factor out a 4. So just be careful. What I see people do is they cancel out these 7s. But this is not 6x times 7. It's 6x plus 7. So these aren't, you can't cancel these out. So I can't cancel anything out. There's not a common factor at all. So is my answer. 6x plus 7 over x minus 2, and then over 28 times x plus 1. I got 28 because 7 times 4. So you could expand those. I'll leave that to you to expand. You can FOIL it because there's two binomials. And now I'm going to do the restrictions. So in the beginning, you had x minus 2 in the denominator. So don't forget to include that. So x can't be 2. But then throughout the problem, you also flip this around. So x cannot be negative 1 as well. So don't forget to check the beginning, the middle, and the end for your restrictions. Okay, number 7, another division one. So I'm going to factor out this part. And then I'm just going to write y minus 7 2 times. That helps me look at crossing things off. And then it's multiply, because you're going to flip this. I'm going to put this part on the top, factor out a y. And then this part goes on the bottom. And now I'm going to cancel out common factors. So I have y plus 7, y plus 7, y minus 7, y minus 7, y minus 7, y minus 7. So you're left with y over 5. A lot of stuff canceled out. So now let's look at restrictions. So look in the beginning, the middle, and the end. So we can't have, this is my factored part right here. So, and plus I have to include this part because this is technically on the bottom. So I have y can't be positive 7, negative 7, or 0. Don't forget about that y part. And then number 8, I'm going to factor this out. This is x plus 2 times x plus 8. And then this bottom part is going to be x minus 8 times x plus 2. And then I'm going to flip this around and put it on the top. So this is difference of squares, x minus 8, x plus 8. And this is x plus 8. So I'm going to cancel out my common factors, x plus 2, x plus 2, x plus 8, x plus 8, x minus 8, x minus 8. So I'm left with x plus 8 in the numerator. And now my restrictions are, look in your original denominators. X can't be 8, negative 2, and this is going to be x plus 8, x minus 8, so x can't be positive or negative 8. And we already had that one for -8 and 8. So these are my restrictions.